All right, so next we just finished modeling the nose, even though it does still need quite a bit of work. I want to start on the ears now, and then we can go in and kind of tweak everything else. First, I would like to sort of organize my scene a little bit, though, so I'm going to just select everything and delete my history. I want to put my eyes and face on a display layer, so I'm going to select the eyes, and in my channel box I'm going to click this little button on my display tab, this little button on the right, and basically what that's going to do is take whatever you have selected and put it in a display layer. So then I can name this eyes layer, no spaces allowed. And then I want to do the same thing here for the face. Name that guy face layer. And I also want to name my geometry. So what I want to name here is you have a P-plane 1, which we started with a plane, so that's why it's named P-plane. And you have a P-plane 1 shape. So if I just name my P-plane node here, so if I name this something like face or head, it's automatically going to rename all those other nodes to like head shape. My instance doesn't matter so much because once I add the ear to it, it's going to get deleted anyway, and we're going to have to rename some stuff anyway. So, and then I'll go ahead and name the eye to R I for, actually it'd be the left eye, so L-I. Alright, so then basically what we have now is a couple layers to where if I just click on those layers I can turn off or on, there's that lighting issue we had, I can just turn off or on my my layers. Now I usually, a lot of times what I'll do is just model the ear in a completely new file. In this case I'm going to just model it right here in this file, so I'm going to turn off both of those layers, just save real quick, and I'll start out in the in my perspective view, and I may at some point here I may just stop and just speed up the video and let you see me kind of creating this ear. The cool thing about an ear is that they're all similar, but you know they have similar features to them, but they're all quite a bit different too. So usually any attempt at an ear is, you know, doesn't turn out too bad because everyone's ear is very unique. You know, they're almost like a fingerprint. Everyone has a different ear, so you can you have a little bit more freedom with an ear as to something like nose or lips or eyes, which are unique, but they're very specifically unique. Whereas an ear is unique in specific ways as well, but it's also very different. So, and especially something like this guy who is an elf, so he's got like these big elf ears. We're going to have a lot of freedom, and I kind of enjoy modeling ears just because you do have that freedom. So okay, so I'll start out just by making a plane. So create polygon primitives, plane. It's going to be bottom of my grid, so I'll bring that up to the ear. I want to rotate that 90 degrees in Z so it's facing us. And then I want to come in and take all the divisions out of it. So it's just a single quad. And then I can come in and start lining this geometry up a little bit. Like so. And then I can extrude. So I'll just grab my extrude tool, start extruding. I'm going to go in and edit most of these. Most of these anyway, so I'm not too concerned with placing them as I'm placing them. So I just want to do the top part of that ear first. And then I want to jump over to my front view and my side view. We'll look at those together. And I'm going to move those into place. Now remember, they're not going to match up with, it's not going to match up with both my front and side view. So I'm going to have to pick. And I think so far I've been sticking to my my front view more than my side view. So I may want to come in and line this up a little bit more with my front view instead of my side view. So let's go ahead and pull everything out a little bit so we can see it. And then so first of all, it's going to need to come up quite a bit. And this isn't necessarily the whole ear shape. It's kind of just like the flat little ridge that I'm modeling here. So I'll definitely be adding more to that. Yeah, check it from the side view. It still kind of matters in the side view, so I still want to come in and alter things a little bit here. So that looks alright, and then I can grab this edge here. Actually, let's go ahead and make one more extrusion. I'm kind of winging it from the side here, but I think it'll help in the front view a little bit. And a lot of this is just, you know, winging it, believe it or not. There's no specific formula for modeling a head, so a lot of times you do just have to wing things and use your best judgment as an artist. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to correct mistakes. It's all about trial and error. You just sort of have to keep on, you know, tenacity is key, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. You just got to sort of keep on moving and keep on trying to learn, and don't give up if something you do isn't quite the way you want it to be. All right, so then I'm going to extrude this guy down in the front view. And then from the side view, it's going to look like a straight line down. So I do want to sort of edit these from the side view. So basically, this is the first thing I want to do here, is make a nice outline for the ear, sort of like what we did with the head, where I went in and made a cage first. It's sort of a similar thing that I'm trying to do with the head here, or I mean the ear, is make a cage for it, and then everything can just sort of like fall in the center. So So now I just want to check it from perspective and make sure that everything just sort of flows nicely. Like so. Alright, so I just wanted to pause real quick and bring up an actual picture of an ear. You know, even though it's not an elvish ear, I still kind of wanted to see some shapes that are going in there, because I don't have a lot of those shapes in my concept art. So, you know, I already have sort of this outer edge here. So what I want next is sort of this Y shape that goes inside and under the ear. So next I'm going to work on that. I do still want to kind of take a look at my concept art here. So I probably want to grab these three edges, extrude them up a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is grab this guy, and I'm going to make this sort of that Y shape that that kind of curves in here. And what I want to do over here as well, because I noticed that the ear kind of wraps inside here and goes sort of inside that Y shape, so I want to make that shape as well. So I want to kind of go ahead and try to curve these guys inward a little bit. You know, it's okay to check it and see how it looks smooth too. So then I want to grab this edge and extrude that. And I'm just trying to figure out how I want to make that Y shape there. So I'll probably go ahead and extrude this guy one more time over here, and then extrude this edge up here. And like I said, this is no exact science. I am completely guessing, but it's still important to look at reference, so you can see sort of the mechanics of an ear, the things that go on inside of an ear. So, and even though it's not, you know, it's not going to be accurate to the ear I'm looking at, it's still accurate to an ear. It's got all the structures an ear has. So something like that gives me that Y shape, and then I can come in and probably from the perspective view only, I'm probably not going to get much detail from my my front view, so I just want to come in from my perspective view and try to line this up a little bit. Oops. Careful about selecting stray vertices like that, like I just did. So I think something like that's looking pretty good. And then I can take this guy and probably add in another edge loop here to get a better curve. Another cool thing about ears is that they may deform a little here and there, but they're never going to deform a great amount. So the topology isn't as important as it would be for like an eye or a mouth that deforms quite a bit as a character's animating. You know, they might, you know, if it's like an elvish character or something like that, you know, they might be able to wiggle their ears, or, you know, if it's something with floppy ears, their ears might flop around a little bit, but for the most part their ears won't be as animated as much as like an eye or a mouth. So that's basically what I have here, is like a frame for an ear. And so what I want to do now is just sort of, I still want to check out my reference here. So I have that piece that kind of wrapped in there, and then I have this piece right here. So I want to we'll go ahead and close our loop here by maybe joining up these two, bridging those two together, and then eventually I'll have, you know, something there that I can make that little lip with in the ear. But for now, what I want to do is we'll go ahead and say we'll bridge these two guys together with 0 divisions, and then I can fill this hole and kind of work out what to do from there. So I'll fill hole, maybe use my multi-cut tool to bridge some of these gaps. Oops. And that triangle there is a very good opportunity for me to close that little N-gon right there. Or I can just go ahead and do something like that, which will probably help me give it a little bit of crease there that I need anyway. And then I can make that triangle. Oops. Go into this triangle. Then I can bring these vertices in. Like so. And I'll probably need to do the same thing here as well to get sort of a deeper cavity there. So for now I'll just use a multi-cut, and I'm going to make a little bit of an N-gon there. And here I can extend this way, and that will help me get that crease in there a little bit. Now this guy's got pretty big ears, so most of our ears are pretty flat, so I'm not going to worry too much about going in too deep or something like that. So I think we have enough area here to sort of get away with some pretty deep, very detailed or very exaggerated ears, which is kind of what I'm going for. So something like that's looking pretty good. I could probably do a little more in there eventually, and I might, but for now I think that's all right. And to get rid of that end gun there, what I'm going to do is just delete that edge and let's see, maybe not delete that edge. Just bring that guy there. Now I'm going to delete that edge and bring this guy over here. And then we'll turn that guy into a triangle. So again, triangles are not bad. Triangles are completely okay in your models. You should not feel guilty about having a couple triangles. I do kind of want to crease that a little more too, so I'm going to make more triangles with my multi-cut tool right in here. There's going to be a triangle there and a triangle there, and then this triangle I'm going to do something like that. Oops. And these guys I'll bring down like so. All right, so that's looking pretty good. So now I'll go ahead and bridge those two guys together. And then, let's see, I can probably get away with bridging these two guys together as well with no divisions. And rather than filling the hole here, before I fill the hole, what I'm going to do is just grab them all and extrude them inward a little bit and push them in as well. And then I can fill that hole and use my multi-cut tool to sort of make all quads or a couple triangles. Probably use more geometry right here, so that won't be such a bad thing to do. Oops, probably moved that a little too much. Yep, definitely way too much there. And let's see. See how that looks. Looks pretty good. I probably do want a little bit more of a crease in there, because if we look at our reference, you'll see that that does actually crease quite a bit over. So so I do want that. So I can probably kind of rearrange some of this messiness up here to get what I want. So I'm going to try that. It's also kind of hard maneuvering these vertices around because they're not exactly on the right axes. So, but yeah, that's looking a little bit more like what I'm looking for. So next I can probably grab these two edges and bridge those guys together with a division and bring that guy in quite a bit. And let's see, I'll go ahead and bridge these two guys as well with one division, and then I'll use my merge vertex tool to merge those guys together. So that's looking pretty good. I can fill that hole in there. We'll try sort of rearranging this geometry a little bit. That definitely needs to go in quite a bit, like that. I think we want a crease in here, so what I'm going to do, instead of I'm going to undo that last edge I made, and instead of making it a triangle here, I'm going to make that a triangle over here, and then I can use, that gives me a triangle that I don't necessarily want, but that's okay. We kind of have the freedom to do things like this with the ears. And in an area like the ears, you just sort of need to expect there to be a considerate amount of triangles, just because it's such a complex shape and it kind of flows into itself and just doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to have nothing but quads. So in the ears, I think triangles are okay. All right, so those guys are, that ear is looking pretty good for the front. The easy part is the back. We're not going to have to worry too much about that. But I do want to just finish the ear, sort of the ear socket itself. So I need to come in and sort of join up some of these things. I'll bridge those guys together. Bridge these two guys together. And here, what I want to do is I can fill the hole in, or I can extrude. And so I think that's what I'm going to do, is select those guys and extrude. That's the wrong button. Extrude those guys in a little bit like so. And I probably need, at that point, I probably need to come in and make that not such a harsh transition. Extrude those guys in a little bit. Now what I can do here, since I extruded those guys in, is I can extrude this face out. And essentially what I'm doing there, let's go back to the picture so I can show you. But essentially what I'm doing there is creating this little part right here. Okay, and then sort of the same thing we did with the nose. But I want to do this in a realistic manner. So I want to select all those inside edges there and extrude them in quite a bit, and maybe even those guys out a little bit so they're not such a weird shape. You're gonna want them to take on kind of a round shape inside the ear socket, and that doesn't, like, you're probably not necessarily ever going to look this close inside of the ear, but it will help, I believe. And then what the ear socket does, or the inner ear does generally, is it goes in quite a bit. Then, oops, don't want to extrude the vertices, just the edges. And then it sort of goes in like that. So that's how the ear socket kind of works in real life. And then we can take this, just like we did before, we can fill that hole, and then we can use our multi-cut tool to make that all quads and tris. Alright, so we have the outer part of the ear. Probably can use a little more tweaking there. Probably need another little cut here. Just to sort of accentuate that one fold. And let's see, I probably also want, because I want that to clearly look like it's folding around, like wrapping around. Like making this sort of motion in there. So see if we can add a little bit more detail right in here as well. And I can delete that. Oops. Delete that edge. It's getting there. Still need quite a bit of work probably, but I am fairly happy with that result. I probably want to add one little bit more of detail. So if you look at our ear here, you also have this part here, and I don't really have that on my ear, so I want to make it. Probably starting to get some pretty funky geometry here that I really shouldn't have. But it's all for a good purpose. And I can always go in and clean it up later. But as long as I don't have any ingons, you know, as long as I'm dealing with nothing but quads and tries, I can get a good looking ear. So that could probably be smoothed out a little bit right there, but I think for the most part what we have is decent for an ear, for the outside of the ear. Now the sort of back part of the ear is pretty simple, and I'll show you how to create that as we connect the ear to the head. So we can turn our other ones back on, and you can see that, like, even though our ear isn't quite finished yet, it adds a lot to our character. You know, and our character doesn't look so funny now because he does have ears. So So once we connect those, I think our character or our head here will really start taking shape and looking alive. I do want to go ahead and delete my history on this ear. I'll go ahead and freeze my transformations, center my pivot, and we'll name that ear. And that's it. So next I'll jump into connecting the ear to the head.